Hi, this is Postman, and today I'd like to start a series of videos, walkthroughs of tracks I've made to share some knowledge about them, to set what inspired them, and so on and so on. I really like it when other producers do. I think it helps a lot, not only getting knowledge, but also understanding the artists in another way. So that's why I decided to do this. The first track I like to walk you through is The Great Pause. It was featured on the Observing Spaces compilation by Paracusia Media. So Paracusia Media is like a relatively new label formed by Jabberwock, sorry. Um, it's actually a label about psychedelic kind of sounds. So paracusia means auditory hallucinations. So that's a bit the criteria for it. There's some glitchy music on it, some ambient music on it, maybe some psytrance. So we'll see what the future brings. The compilation Observing Spaces was actually about our interpretations of the ongoing pandemic, the COVID-19 situation. So we each interpreted in a different way. I titled my track The Great Pause because I saw some articles on medium.com about the COVID-19 situation, all calling it kind of great pause, because it's definitely influencing and halting the economy, but also in some way a time where we can reflect and think what is normal, what should we do next, what should we do after the pandemic, and so on and so on. So I thought it was a cool idea. I kind of took it literally because there's a lot of sparseness in the track. It's mostly textural. There's kind of breaths into it. So I'm gonna take you. I'll show you the project. Here we go. So I work in Ableton Live, and I mainly work all my tracks. I have like a template for it. I work in different buses. So I got a sidechain bus, bus for drums or percussive elements, bus for tonal elements, which are basses, leads, synths, pads, atmospheres, and so on. Mostly the melodic content, and then FX, which can be risers, random noise, SFX, Foley, ambiances, drones, and so on. As you can see, I didn't really use the sidechain because there was no kick on the track, which was a deliberate decision. Yeah, and the track, like a lot of my tracks, is mostly sample based. There are some MIDI lines in there, but like in a lot of my tracks, I tend to use samples. I don't know why. I just like the workflow. It's fast for me. I'm a real sample hoarder, like the 90s producers in the hip hop scene, like crate taking for cool sounds. I like that too. Sometimes I rework those samples. I completely glitch the fuck out of it. Sometimes I just keep them as they are, whatever works. Maybe it's not your thing, but it works for me. Another thing that's kind of obvious about the track, it's like call and answer between the bassy textures and the clap and snare textures and so on. I think it's a fundamental songwriting trick which works. Okay, let's let's first take a look about the tonal elements. So there's several synth lines, some samples like this one. Yeah, it's really grainy. Yeah, here's a serum patch. It's one of the patches I made for a Ranraku preset pack. I don't know when it's gonna be available. It's a pretty strange patch, I'd say. It can go from melodic sounds to really frenzy sounds with this frenzy knob. Another thing to mention is going through an Ableton rack, which I call Crunch to Dusts. It's with unfiltered audio dent. What it actually does is kind of downsampling, bit crushing it, until it sounds really like it's played on a really broken vinyl sort of thing. At the end, I also so a synth line is reoccurring here, more fuller, of course. Not really. Yeah, it's also going through Sandman Pro, which is kind of a delay plugin, but it can do way more. And then the final line, yeah, is made with shit, that's loud. With propeller heads Europa. It's also available in Reason. And I'm gonna be honest about it, I mostly use the first presets, so it's the fact lead, it just sounds so nice, and I also want to change it, but it kind of fucks the thing up, and yeah, so I use it mostly as it is. Yeah. But it sounds like old and tattered and warm. I think the MIDI line, so I converted the audio to MIDI. That's a thing I often do. I can do things by ear, or find the chord progressions, but I think sometimes Ableton fucks up and can give some really cool results. So then the drones you can hear in the beginning of the track. Yeah, they are all made and bounced up or resampled, whatever you want to call it, from Reactor drone patches. You can find a ton of them in the user forums, but I guess they're mostly mostly fabric presets and so on, and then I changed some parameters and whatnot. I think I also send them through my Eurorack, but I wouldn't know which modules I used. So that's it. The bases are like layers of flangey textural bases. They're all coming from sample packs from a producer called Xor. They're really really nice sample packs. Not many people seem to know about them. I'll link them in the description because they're really good. I think they're free or pay what you want. Give the guy a tip because they're really good samples. So let's hear them. Yeah, like you can hear, they're really crunchy. So all layers are processed differently. First one goes through what I call an all-pass machine. Actually, it's just a collection of 10 OTTs next to each other, and then soft clipped by the glue compressor. And I can control the crossover frequencies, the amount of decompression, the time scaling, and the makeup gain, and it really brings up all the all the frequencies actually. Yeah, really sausages it Same with the second layer, but then I put an auto pan on it, going triplets, and the layer underneath it is actually a sublayer, like going through the RBase plugin, boosting the sub levels. So here and there, this is the main bass, and then I think it is here I have like some what I call snippets, just fading basses, snippets, fills, adding movement and textures. And then further in the first section, I'm introducing this screeching bass. Yeah, also a sample. Cool thing is that it's slowly going through this rack called this ambient machine. It's actually just a resonator patch making I think a blend of a major and minor chord and F sharp, yeah, something like that. And it's like pushing the sounds like through a metal sheet or something. It really gives a nice tonal flavor. Plus, because the basses are textural and have a lot of high content, it excites the resonators even more. So the screech bass is going through the resonator rack, and also the main basses from the second section, from the first section and the second section go through kind of the same patch. Mostly I add the actual rack is with reverbs and other kind of stuff, but apparently I deleted that. So I have like control over the tonality, which is actually the dry wet of the resonators, and the pitch. As you can see, I have other controls, but maybe I'll show them another time. So this is what the normal basses sound like. So like glitchy, tortured, squishy, psychedelic-ishy. And these are the basses in the second section. In here they're like completely changing, being tonal and stuff. Okay, there's no real sub in this track. Yeah, it's a template, so I don't really fill all of it in. Okay, let's take a look at the drums. So no kicks, as I mentioned, and mostly snares and claps. So here the first snare group. Apparently the main snare, no. So this is, yeah, the main snare is a snare clapish from the little snake pack on Renraku, and the other layers are made in Serum. I do not often do that, but seems in this case it worked. Like you can hear, I'll have you have a listen. Okay. So the snares are going through actually one of the layers of the snares are going through different delays each time, so each iteration is going through a different delay rack. So a kind of tube delay here, another tube delay with other settings, kind of weird delay, probably, yes, made in unfiltered audio fold, yeah, and then the last delay, like a weird dubbish delay, I think yeah, could be a stock preset even. Then further in the first section, I've processed the snares through my Euro rack with the Monsoon module. Monsoon is a clone of the mutable instruments clouds, which on itself is a textural synthesizer, some granular processing module. Then in the second section we got the claps, bit of the same thing actually, layering claps on top of each other. Really cool clap I really like is the anemone clap from the Enigmatic Records free sample pack. I'll also link that in the description because it's really worth taking a look at it. Then in the second section I'm adding this, which is a sample from the Glitch Mob. Just adds more progression, more rhythm to the whole, not making it so sluggish and textural anymore. It's going through custom patch I got from someone on Discord. It's called the Doom compressor because it was inspired by the guy who made the Doom soundtrack. I forgot his name. Yeah, not so important. What it's actually doing is completely pushing the audio to 0 dB, so it's crushing all dynamics, and of course that brings a lot of artifacts and content you wouldn't normally really hear. It's going through Biome, which is doing 80s delay, and then through Venom from WA Production. It's a kind of cheap plugin. It's cool. It's not super great, but here it does the job. Venom is actually kind of a spectral processing plugin with FFT processing on it, with several controls over how it's messing up the spectrum. It's not doing that much here, but yeah, it's kind of fun. Yeah, so there's an automation. Yeah, so that's it dry, and that's how it sounds. Textural, yeah, it's slow sounding way farther, like blurred out. Yeah, okay, that's it. And then I've added probably a shitload, not that much, some extra loops, some fade-ins, including the whole together. Yeah, probably all samples. Yep. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's about it for this walkthrough. Thank you for viewing this video, listening to me ramble. Like I said, I'll link the free sample packs in the description. I'll also link the articles of Medium, maybe if you're interested. Please do check out the compilation Observing Spaces on Paracusia Media. There's really cool artists on there, like Jim Kimchi, Sunk, Block Data, Hypercube, Alex Broken, Frank Riggio, Nuane, not sure how to pronounce it, Moles, and of course the label head Jabberwock. Really worth a listen. If you have any questions, want to see some presets and so on, let me know in the comments. Give it a like if you like the video, subscribe if you want more of these walkthroughs, and I'll see you next time.